Yeni bir programla karşınızdayız. Lafı hiç uzatmadan bu haftaya da önce ülke gündemine göz atarak başlayalım.
Speaking at the Hatay Expo introductory meeting, Republican People's Party leader Kılıçdaroğlu said if they come to power, they will send their Syrian brothers off with drums and horns back to their country within 2 years at the least, and that they will create the infrastructure for this.
Istanbul Metropolitan Municipality transportation investments were not included among the 2022 investments of the Erdogan government, while the purchase of 300 Metrobus, financed by the municipality itself due to the disapproval of the presidency, has not yet been realized. The new metro line investment, which was financed, was not approved. Erdogan continues to do justice to his promise after the local elections, which was, "We will not make you rule Istanbul, you will be a lame duck." In the presidency's 2022 investment program, the resources allocated for intelligence, security, and prison constructions increased significantly.
Musician Sezen Aksu was targeted on social media on the grounds that she insulted Adam and Eve in her song Şahane Bir Şey Yaşamak, which she released in 2017 with musician Yaşar Gaga. A Turkish Islamist group called the National Survival Movement called for a gathering in front of her house, claiming to protest Aksu. In addition to the Directory of Religious Affairs and Nationalist Movement Party leader Bahçeli, many newspapers and social media accounts known with their close relations to the government joined the caravan of lynching the artist.
Van Court of Execution ruled that the meetings between journalist Nedim Türfent and his lawyers must be recorded with audio and video for 3 months.
Agos Daily's editor-in-chief Hrant Dink was commemorated in the 15th anniversary of his death at the place he was shot. Hrant's friends, especially the Dink family, reiterated their demand for those who target the journalists and for public officials whose negligence has been revealed in numerous reports to be included in the trial process.
31 citizens, including Initiative for Freedom of Expression spokesperson Şanar Yurdatapan, supported People's Democratic Party parliament member Dr. Ömer Faruk Gergerlioğlu after an investigation was launched against him due to his social media posts for Aysel Tuğluk.
The 16-year-old son of prisoner Nurettin Odabaşı, who was expelled from teaching with a statutory degree, committed suicide. The death reminded everyone of the reality of isolation, exclusion, and silent death experienced by thousands of citizens and their families. It is further thought that there has been an increase in suicides due to the increasing economic depression in the country.
Çorum Bar Association President Attorney Kenan Yaşar was elected as the new member of the Constitutional Court after 3 rounds of elections at the parliament. Yaşar was the Justice and Development Party's parliamentary candidate.
Expression Interrupted released its report on freedom of expression and press covering the last 3 months of 2021. According to the report, 203 journalists were tried in 98 cases in the last quarter, while 18 journalists were sentenced to 24 years, 5 months, and 9 days in prison. New lawsuits were filed against 17 journalists, and investigations were launched against 16 journalists.
Ülke gündemini özetlemeye çalıştık. İfade özgürlüğün gündemi de daha parlak değildi.
The first hearing of the lawsuit filed against Human Rights Association chairman and lawyer Öztürk Türkdoğan within the investigation initiated by the Ankara Chief Public Prosecutor's Office on the charge of terrorist organization membership will be held at Ankara 19th Assize Court on February 22. Türkdoğan was detained in March 2021 due to the statements made by the association after the unsuccessful hostage rescue operation. In the prosecution's indictment, the statements made, protests, and activities organized by the Human Rights Association's headquarters are shown as criminal evidence. There are 2 more lawsuits filed as a result of inspections carried out by the Civil Inspectorate at the Human Rights Association headquarters.
An administrative fine of 18,000 Turkish liras was imposed for the banner "We Cannot Survive, Get the Price Raises Back" hung on Eskişehir community centers as part of the "We Can't Survive" protests. The banner was taken down at midnight, 45 minutes after it was hung, citing the governorate's circular as a reason.
Active News Agency reporter and translator Meşale Tolu, who was tried and charged of terrorist organization membership and making propaganda for a terrorist organization, was acquitted of all charges.
Campus Witch and Purple Solidarity member women who wanted to march to the parliament saying "Let menstrual products be free" in Ankara were detained with a police intervention.
Police attacked the youth protests organized in Istanbul and Ankara for university student Enes Kara, who left behind a video about the pressure and future concerns he suffered in the religious community house where he stayed in Elazığ before committing suicide. In the protests held in Istanbul on January 14, Friday, 83 young people, and in the protests held in Ankara on January 17, Monday, 15 young people were beaten and detained by the police. The young people were released after testifying.
The Constitutional Court has updated its statistics on individual applications covering the period between 2012 and 2021. In 2021, the court granted a violation decree for 11,882, which corresponds to 45.4% of the admissible pending. The rule of violation of the right to a fair trial was issued in 20,084 applications, which accounted for 76.8% of the violation decrees issued by the court in the relevant period. In 663 applications, it was ruled that freedom of expression was violated.
Diyarbakır Bismil District Government announced that all protests and activities were banned for 15 days across the district on the grounds of national security and epidemic.
Koç University Press requested the removal of the term Armenian genocide in the book Seeds of Power: Explorations in Ottoman Environmental History in order to publish the Turkish edition of the book compiled by Onur İnal and Yavuz Köse. After the editors refused this request, the publishing house decided not to publish the book.
Mehmet Şerif Çamcı, president of Ivy Association for Combating Poverty and Sustainable Development, which operated in Diyarbakır and was shut down with a statutory decree in 2016, was convicted in the lawsuit filed against him within the scope of investigation against the Democratic Society Congress. Diyarbakır Fourth Assize Court sentenced Çamcı to 6 years and 3 months in prison on the charge of terrorist organization membership.
Student Solidarity members made a statement in front of Cengiz Holding, Colin Group, and Turkish Industry and Business Association on January 9th with a banner reading, "We will overthrow the reign of thieves," to protest the worsening economic conditions with the new year. The members were summoned to testify after Mehmet Cengiz's application with the allegation of threat and insult.
Hakkari government announced that all protests and demonstrations to be organized throughout the province were banned for 15 days. The government put forward the conditions of national security and epidemic as a reason for the ban, as in the tradition.
At the graduation ceremony of İzmir 9 Eylül University Faculty of Literature held on September 28th, student Rozana Urkun, who wore a mask with the words "Istanbul Convention keeps people alive" and took the stage with an LGBTQ+ flag, was given an administrative reprimand. Private security attacked Urkun at the ceremony and her flag was forcibly taken from her.
The Radio and Television Supreme Council launched an investigation due to the evaluation of Fox TV main news program host Selçuk Tepeli on the country's agenda. Radio and Television Supreme Council President Ebu Bekir Şahin said, "It is unacceptable for a show host to act almost like the leader of the main opposition party."
Munzur Environmental Association activist Özkan Arslan, who was banned from entering his village due to the environmental protests he had participated in before, was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months in prison in the trial where he was charged with terrorist organization membership. The Tunceli First Assize Court evaluated the protests that Özkan participated in, as well as his social media posts and poems as evidence of the crime.
An investigation was launched against Twitch streamer Pelin Baynazoğlu, nicknamed P-Queen, on the charge of inciting the public to resentment and hostility for a dance she performed with the song Long Live Our Race during the stream. Making a statement on the subject on her Twitter account, P-Queen also said that she was accused of insulting the president during the stream.
Information note on the pressure, barriers and difficulties encountered by human rights defenders in Turkey, prepared by the Human Rights Foundation of Turkey, has been published. According to the briefing, at least one or more of the interventions of judicial harassment, administrative harassment, threats and retaliation were implemented against 1,220 human rights defenders in the last 4 months of 2021. In the same period, criminal prosecutions were carried out against 519 human rights defenders, and the existing criminal prosecutions against 214 people continued during this period, together with the judicial harassment. 21 people were sentenced to prison terms or a judicial fine, and 15 people were acquitted.
After being brought to the agenda by organized crime organization leader Sedat Peker, businessman Nevzat Kaya had been arrested with the swamp operation and the related investigation. Access to all news containing the name of Kaya were banned and were ruled to be deleted.
Karar çıkan davaları az önce sizlerle paylaştık. Ama henüz karar verilmemiş dosyalara ilişkin adliye mesaileri de hafta boyunca devam etti. 1500 günü aşkın süredir tutuklu bulunan Osman Kavala'nın tek tutuklu sanık olarak yargılandığı Gezi davasının duruşması da bu hafta görüldü.
In the trial held after the court decree to merge the lawsuit filed against 16 people, including Osman Kavala, at the Istanbul 30th Assize Court regarding the Gezi Park protests, together with the lawsuit filed against 35 people from the Çarşı fan group who participated in the Gezi Park protest, the court decided for Osman Kavala to remain under arrest and scheduled the next hearing for February 12th.
The lawsuit filed against 4 students who were detained at Boğaziçi University for carrying a rainbow flag and 8 students who were detained while protesting the situation will continue on March 24.
The lawsuit filed against previously shut down Dicle News Agency's Ağrı reporter Abdullah Kaya will continue on April 19th on charges of terrorist organization membership and propaganda based on his journalistic activities and social media posts.
In the lawsuit filed against Mesopotamia Agency editor Abdurrahman Gök on charges of terrorist organization membership and propaganda based on his phone calls with news sources, his social media posts, and the news he made, the criminal complaint made in the previous hearing with the allegation of making propaganda for a terrorist organization was turned into a lawsuit and the cases were consolidated. The court allowed time until March 31 for the preparation of the defense statements for the consolidated files.
The lawsuit filed against journalist Kenan Kırkaya, who was accused of terrorist organization membership for being the moderator of the program Glance at Ankara on Mednuca TV channel broadcasting in Turkish in Belgium, together with 8 others, were also held this week.
The lawsuit filed against journalist Rüstem Batum on charges of insulting the president and public incitement to resentment and hostility due to 20 Twitter posts he made in 2016 and 18, as well as a lawsuit filed against Dicle News Agency Batman reported Engin Eren and the protesters due to the Human Rights Shield protests organized in Batman in 2015 also continued this week.
The lawsuit filed against Taraf Daily executives Yasemin Çongar, Ahmet Altan, Yıldıray Oğur, Tuncay Opçin, and reporter Mehmet Baransu on charges of terrorist organization membership and disclosure, obtaining and destroying confidential documents regarding the security of the state, regarding the document titled Sovereign Operation Plan, published in the previously shut down Taraf Daily, was ongoing while the program was being prepared.
Bir haftanın daha sonuna geldik. Gelecek programda görüşmek üzere. Hoşça kalın.